Picture this. You're sitting at a closing table. The loan officer slides a piece of paper across the desk. You're buying a $400,000 house, putting $80,000 down. You're borrowing $320,000. At the bottom of the page, your monthly payment for the next 30 years is $2,129. Now, picture your sister, Priya. 2 streets over, she bought the exact same floor plan in 2021, same price, same down payment, same loan amount. But her payment? $1,349. That's a $780 difference every single month for the exact same house. Nothing about the drywall or the neighborhood changed. What changed was a tiny decimal point on a government webpage that neither of you has ever looked at. Today, we're going to look at why the entire planet is drowning in debt, why that little decimal point is the most expensive number in your life, and why, by the end of this video, you might actually come out ahead. A trillion-dollar weather system. Before we talk about trillions, let's look at your own numbers. Over the life of your loan, Priya pays about $165,000 in interest. You pay over $446,000. You didn't negotiate poorly. You just rented money when it was expensive, and she rented it when it was virtually free. She didn't outsmart you. She outtimed you. But this isn't just about your kitchen table. The same thing happened to every government on Earth. Globally, the world owes around $348 trillion. Governments owe roughly $107 trillion, companies owe $100 trillion, and households owe about $65 trillion. If you split that across the 8 billion people on Earth, it comes out to roughly $43,000 for every single person, newborns included. When we start talking about trillions, numbers stop being math and start being weather. But here's the secret nobody puts in their thumbnail. Measured against the global economy, world debt has actually fallen for the last 5 years. So if the pile isn't growing faster than we are, why does it feel like financial walls are closing in on you? Simple. The interest rate on the pile changed. Where money actually comes from. To understand why this matters, you need to know a genuinely strange fact about where money comes from. In 2014, the Bank of England admitted something remarkable. When a bank gives you a loan, it doesn't hand you somebody else's deposited cash. They simply type a new deposit into your account. Your loan creates the money. Roughly 97% of what you think of as money isn't cash, it's bank deposits. And one person's debt is another person's asset. Meet Hector. He's 67. For the last decade, his safe, boring savings account paid him virtually nothing, maybe 0.4%. On $50,000, that was $200 a year. Today, his cash earns closer to 5%. He's making 12 times the income.
Where is that extra money coming from? It's coming from your $780 mortgage hike. The world isn't going underwater. It's just split between those who owe and those who are owed. And the terms of that relationship just got completely rewritten. The national debt and why you should care. So, how did America arrive at roughly $39.5 trillion in federal debt? Governments borrow because taxing people is unpopular and printing money causes runaway inflation. Borrowing pushes the cost onto a future version of you. But the total number isn't actually the problem. The problem is the same one you have, the interest rate. Last year, America spent $970 billion just on interest, not roads, not defense, not hospitals. Just the privilege of having borrowed money in the past. It's now the third largest line item in the federal budget. Here's the mechanism you can't unsee. Government debt isn't a 30-year fixed mortgage. It matures constantly and has to be replaced. Last year, about $9 trillion of it came due.
The government basically has to walk up to the refinancing window, hand over old bonds that had a 1.5% interest rate, and walk away with new ones at 4%, over and over again. It's like rolling one credit card balance onto another, except the credit limit is $9 trillion. Killing the myths. Let's kill a few popular myths. Myth number 1. America owes all its money to China. False. Foreigners hold about 24% of the debt, and the biggest foreign holder is actually Japan. China holds under 2% and has been quietly selling for years. Over 75% of American debt is owed to American pension funds, banks, and retirement accounts. You essentially owe this money to yourself and to Hector. Myth number 2. Once debt hits 90% of a country's economy, growth falls off a cliff. In 2010, two famous economists published a paper claiming exactly this. Governments panicked and passed strict austerity budgets, but years later, a grad student asked to see their original Excel spreadsheet. He found a massive error. The researchers had accidentally dragged their formula across the wrong number of cells, silently dropping 5 countries out of the average. The cliff didn't exist. Next time you make a mistake at work, remember that one spreadsheet error altered global financial policy for a decade. The 5 ways out.
So how does a country actually get out of this much debt? Historically, there are 5 doors. Growth. We outgrow the debt. This helps, but historically it only does about half the job. Austerity. We cut spending. This usually fails because shrinking the economy shrinks the very thing you use to pay off the debt. Default. We refuse to pay. Unavailable and disastrous for a country that prints its own currency. Central bank absorption. The central bank just buys the debt. Inflation, financial repression. The quietest, most effective way out. Door number 5 is the winner. For 35 years after World War II, interest rates were kept below inflation. Nobody announced it, but bondholders were paid back in money that was worth less than what they originally lent. The bill gets paid, but it gets paid silently by people holding cash. How to navigate the new normal. Which brings us back to you and Priya. Your $2,129 mortgage payment isn't an accident. The rate the government pays is the absolute floor for the cost of money in your life. Your mortgage, your car loan, your credit card, they all stack on top of the government's rate. But look at where this leaves you. If the historical way out of massive debt is decades of quiet inflation, the dollars you use to pay your 30-year fixed mortgage will be worth less every single year. You are locked in. Here's what you need to do. Stop waiting for 3% interest rates to come back. Planning your life around a global financial reversal isn't a strategy. It's a hope attached to a spreadsheet. Treat today's 4% or 5% safe rate as your new hurdle. If an investment, a business idea, or a home renovation can't beat that 5% return, it doesn't deserve your money. If your debt is fixed and your income can grow, time is working for you. If your savings are just sitting in cash, time is working against you. You aren't bad with money. The price of money simply moved while you were busy living your life. Figure out which side of the ledger you are on and adjust accordingly. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and share this with someone who is currently doing mortgage math on the back of an envelope. See you next time.